So we're going to do a little mini lecture to help me review for my test. So,
I had a question before that I thought I cleared up.
describe the relationship between the Franks and the Gallo-Roman population. Further, describe how the Frankish kings viewed the land of Gaul and France. So, this is why it was kind of confusing earlier on in the chapter for me, that I'm so glad they had that question in there so that I could really figure it out and write it down what the relationship was, because it was really confusing. Because here in America, the president rules over America, a place, a country. With the Frankish kings, they didn't really view themselves as ruling over a place. It was kind of just like their relationship with the Gallo-Romans was they lived there, and they kind of, ruled over the Gallo-Romans, I guess. They kind of just lived there, though. They didn't, rule over that land exactly, and they didn't pay as much attention to the land. They ruled over the people. They ruled over the Frankish people, not the Gallo-Roman people. They ruled over the Frankish people even though they lived where the Romans lived. So they didn't really necessarily rule over a specific place. It was more over their people, and their places would constantly change. They would, what they did was, you're a king, I have 2 sons, I have this estate, it will be split in half between my 2 sons, and then it's split further and further and further, which is kind of the problem with that, was you just split it between your sons, and so on and so on. So, they didn't really care too much about the land. They didn't rule over the land. They ruled over the people, the Frankish people, and they didn't really care too much. They really just cared about getting their money and living well, so they didn't care too much about the land. It was more over the people. That was their relationship with the land and the Greco-Roman people. Now this one's a big question. Yeah, they didn't belong there. They were not people of that land. It was you'd say they were a nomadic country, practically, but they weren't. They were just the people. Now, explain the cause and development of the vassalage system. Whew, that's a big one. So, let's see what I wrote my notes about this. So, oh, okay, that's okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, so the vassalage system, you are pretty much signing. My understanding of the military is you are signing your life away for them to do whatever they want with you for the next, 10 years, 20 years, or whatever. This was for your entire life in exchange for food, house, and protection. They were responsible for you, but you would serve them their entire life, and you had to listen to everything they said, and you were a vassal to them. And usually very rich lords or mayors would try to get vassals who had vassals of their own, because if you are in charge of a vassal who has a ton of his own vassals, you're in charge of your own mini army, because your vassal has to obey everything you say. So if you tell your vassal to tell their vassals to tell their vassals and so on to go to war, they have to listen, because that's what they agreed to. And so one of the reasons that they had to do this was, nowadays, maybe, if your father's a noble, you will have, noble, rich, I don't know, you'll have some influence and stuff too, but back then, you kind of got recognition, if your family was already a noble family, but you had to make your own way. So maybe, you could make your own way in the world to become known and more notified.